It's been said that all roads lead to London, and even at first glance you can see why. This truly is one of the world's most beautiful cities, and the millions of visitors that come here every year certainly seem to agree. There's something for everyone, from the style and grandeur of royal palaces right through to the thrills of the London Eye and a great deal more besides. But before we take a more detailed tour of the delights this great city has on offer, it's well worth stepping back in time for a whistle-stop guide to London's fascinating past and the events that have, quite literally, shaped its present and future. The first thing you'll notice when looking at any map of London is the dominant presence of the river that is often fondly referred to as Old Father Thames. Dividing London north and south, the River Thames was fundamental in attracting a scattering of ancient tribal settlers to this verdant valley. And when the Romans arrived in the 1st century AD, they quickly saw the advantage of occupying the district, fully exploiting the place they called Londinium as a port. After the Romans came the Vikings, and London grew at a rapid pace, evolving as the capital of Britannia. One of the earliest landmarks to appear was the first St. Paul's Cathedral in 604, followed by Westminster Abbey just after the turn of the first millennium, courtesy of the Saxon king Edward the Confessor. However, one of the best known and loved of all London sites was built after yet another invasion, this time by William the Conqueror in 1066. After winning the Battle of Hastings and proclaiming himself king, the ruler from Normandy had to prove to his new people that he meant business, and immediately commissioned the building of the Tower of London. Back in the 11th century, the original White Tower, at an imposing 30 metres tall, was the city's highest building, and must have been very impressive indeed. London continued to expand, and after the Plantagenets, Tudors, Stuarts, and even a Commonwealth for a brief spell, came one of the most significant events in the city's history. Although, if you look in the right places, you can still spot buildings from before 1666, they do tend to be exceptions rather than the rule, because this was the year of the Great Fire of London. By the 1700s, much of the rebuilding after the Great Fire had centred around the area we now know as the City, but further development quickly followed, especially with the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. Many of London's fine mansions stem from the prosperity of the 19th century's wealthy industrialists, while the East End of the city, by contrast, was packed with the working classes needed to make the factories profitable. As the 20th century became an age of innovation and the world went to war twice, London was once again set ablaze when in 1940 Adolf Hitler sent his Luftwaffe pilots nightly to bomb the city in the Blitz. In the post-World War II years, when Britain rebuilt London for a new generation that swung its way through the 60s, rocked through the 70s and partied through the 80s, before recovering through the 90s to start a new millennium, the cityscape changed beyond recognition as ancient and modern settled into a workable, if not always harmonious, coexistence. And on that occasionally discordant note, we've come right up to date in 21st century London. So where better to start our tour than at the place where almost every visitor to this city begins, and much of London's most